Hello and welcome to Around the Lens, episode 47. I'm your host, David J. Murphy, a visual journalist currently living in Biloxi, Mississippi. We're here today to talk about visual journalism. We got all kinds of topics to talk about. If you've never heard of the show or tuned in before, we gather experts in the world of visual journalism to talk about news, topics, and gear related to our profession. We've got two great returning panelists on the show tonight. My panelists are Ron Hamilton and Stephanie Keith. Panelists, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Hello, audience. My name is Ron Hamilton. This is my third time on the show.
Woo!
And I, apart from being a photographer, I also work for a television station in the Philippines, Net 25, where you can see my broadcasts under Eagle News Evening Edition.
Nice, nice. You're breathing rarefied air there, Ron. Haven't had too many three-timers.
Oh, that's true, too.
And Stephanie, who are you?
Well, I've been on the show twice. Well, this is the second time. And I am a freelance photographer in New York City, working primarily for Reuters and Getty, doing breaking news and editorial features. A lot of time stories that I pitch to news organizations. That's what
awesome.
I do.
What have you been up to since the last time we chatted?
When was the last time we chatted? I can't refresh my memory. It was a year ago, I think, right?
Almost. Probably about 10 months, maybe 9 months ago.
Right. So what have I been up to this year?
Yeah.
I've been, plugging away, working for Getty and Reuters. I've sort of made like this little niche for myself where I do a lot of sort of like wacky New York events. If there's a wacky New York event, chances are I'm covering it, like the Mermaid Parade and No Pants Subway Ride, SantaCon, plus doing breaking news. Like I covered the Chelsea bomb blast that happened and, anything that is of international significance in New York City. So that's what I've been up to.
Do you see our fellow panelist C.S. Muncie out there much while you're shooting?
C.S. and I cross paths occasionally. We certainly know each other from shooting around in New York City. We used to see each other a lot more than we do now. I think we have sort of different clients and different niches in the industry now, so we don't see each other as often. But we did see each other sort of recently when there was a couple of big Black Lives Matter protests, and we ran into each other there. But CS does a lot of portraits now. So.
Yeah, he did a lot of great stuff for comicbook.com with regard to all those comic book portraits. So
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
stuff.
Those were great. Yeah.
Did you go to Comic-Con?
He's come a long way, that CS. He really has, in just a short period of time. Yeah. I didn't go to Comic-Con this year, but I have been several years in the past. I've been credentialed to shoot photos there, but not this year. No.
Okay. Cool. I'd love to go there someday, but who knows?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Yeah.
I'd also like to go to San Diego Comic-Con. I hear that's pretty fun too.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the biggest, but I think New York is actually as big as the San Diego one now, technically.
Wow.
Yeah, it's grown a lot recently.
Ron, what's Hawaii Comic-Con like?
It's very small. They have the Hawaii Convention Center, and it took place over 2 days a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
and I covered that one.
I did not hear about it. Was
yeah,
it good?
The report is not out yet. You can look at my Instagram, the pictures of kids dressed up in costumes.
Okay, great. I'm sure those conventions are still actually about comic books and not about movies, TV shows, and big name stars.
In Hawaii, mostly about comics. We can't afford the big stars out here.
I know, right? Speaking of comics, how about that Walking Dead episode last night, huh? Am I right?
Crazy. It was like abuse. It was too much.
That's like, what do you call that? Torture porn?
They call it abuse. Abuse is what they call it. Porn? I think the producers didn't realize how much their fans love those characters.
Oh, yeah. Well, they know that. I mean,
I thought it was too much.
Yeah.
I thought it was too much.
it was pretty heart-wrenching. All right, but let's get on with the show. We're talking about visual journalism. We got lots of stuff to talk about tonight. So this was a story idea actually brought up by our own Ron Hamilton. You may have heard about him. He's a guest on tonight's show. He brought up this visual journalist responsibility. So there was a story in 2013, so very relevant to today. But anyways, a story in 2013 about an incident that happened in Iraq in 2004, where this filmmaker, Laura Poitras, I hope I'm saying that right. Poitras.
She's the one that did Citizen 4.
Say again?
She directed Citizen 4.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that movie.
Okay.
It was okay. Anyways, she was covering the Iraq conflict in 2004, and she apparently was trying to cover both sides, like any good journalist. But what happened was, and it's still, I guess, I don't know if the actual determination has been made on the court case or not, but there was some soldiers who were patrolling the city, and they saw what they thought looked like her on top of a roof with some bad guys filming them. And so they were ambushed after that. And there was thoughts that she knew that they were going to get ambushed. And so people died, soldiers died. So there's this now, conflict. Was did she know that the troops were going to get ambushed and essentially didn't tell them, didn't warn them? Was she not fighting for the other side, but holding information that would have saved lives? So what do y'all think about this? I mean, how do you cover both sides of a conflict? You could see it the same way as think about something locally, like you're covering, a protest and you're covering the protesters, and the protesters are going to do something to the police. Do you go up to the police and tell them, hey, the protesters are going to do something, or do you just continue covering the protesters because you don't necessarily want to lose that sort of in you have with them? Where is the balance? How do you juggle that? Ron, you want to go start since you brought up the idea?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I found the documents, the recent court documents from was October 21st, I think. The recent court documents. Anyway, irrelevant to the story, what really happened, just the general idea of whether or not Laura Poitras knew of the attack and was filming it from that point of view, we'll never know. She says she didn't know. She says she was just there filming, so we don't know the real deal. The government seems to think that she knew, and that's the basis of the court case, is that she knew. But just as a journalist, and as you were familiar with, a former Marine yourself, if we're covering a military situation like that, as a civilian, I still consider myself an American. If nothing else, I'm a journalist first, I suppose. But I'm still an American. I would want to let the Americans know if I knew something. I wouldn't want anybody to be hurt. I suppose the same could be true if I knew, well, would I? If I knew the Americans were going to bomb a city, would I tell the city? Probably not, I guess. Wow. That's why it's a good topic of discussion.
Right. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to run into the city and be like,
right,
Americans are going to bomb it.
I guess they knew that already, I suppose, right? Yeah,
well, most times, I mean, they try to inform a city they're going to invade. Like, for instance, even with this Mosul invasion of the Iraqis, they're dropping leaflets. They're letting people know, hey, get out of Dodge unless you want to get shot up.
Yeah. So my first thought when I saw the story was I'd want to do everything I could to warn the Americans if I knew what was going on. But if I was not able to, then follow the second position, which is cover the event like anything else.
Right. So if you knew exactly when and where and what they were going to do, you would do whatever you could to get that information.
Best. If not, just cover the event.
So if they're just talking about ambushes in general or something like that, what they're going to do, you just
you might want to pass out on if you could, but I think they would. Once again, that's ambiguous. The information is not. You don't know 100% what's going on, so it probably wouldn't do any good to pass that on. Actually. Hey, I heard they're going to ambush you. Great, yeah, great. We're looking for that. That happens every day. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can get in there and let's say you earn their trust and you're documenting all their background and their plans and stuff. But I mean, if you leave, you're not coming back. They're not going to let you come back in. So it's got to be something where you got to know for sure. What do you think, Stephanie?
Well, that is a very interesting question, certainly. I was thinking about, in terms of protesters, I would never cross that line between protesters and cops because, you're supposed to be objective. And, that would be up until the point where something seemed life-threatening. And that would be a line that, me personally, I would stop being a journalist and be a person, and be very concerned for people's welfare, especially if there's something that I could do about it. So
Does
if
that
in
go either way?
fact, if she knew that, I think if you're in a foreign country and you're an American, you are relying on the fact that you are American and that there's this huge country and history behind you that's keeping you safe and giving you special status. If you somehow betray that, then I feel like the deal is over for you. You have to sort
Right.
of be respectful of the fact that that is your position in the world, and there's a lot that went into making that. So I think she should make every effort to save lives in that situation if possible. That's what I think.
Yeah. So, like, if you were in a situation where perhaps you knew the protesters were going to do something, or the cops were going to do something, would you warn the other party, or would you just basically
I
not even get
wouldn't
involved?
unless it seemed that there was, it was going to be a life or death situation. Then I would
Right.
definitely get involved. But if it was going to be just a regular, that's why I think protesters and police is a different thing, because it rarely it becomes such a life-death situation like it does in wartime. I guess there are occasionally during protests people are killed. Occasionally, usually that happens. That usually precipitates the protest. It doesn't usually happen during the protest.
Right.
So I think it's a different situation. In wartime, people are trying to kill each other. That's the whole point. So it's a different scenario. So I think it's hard to compare the protest cop scenario to the wartime scenario because I think the stakes are different.
Right. Well, let's take a hypothetical, right? So in the recent, protests in what was it, Dallas, I think, wherever the sniper was.
Oh, right.
So imagine
Those cops
you're covering
got killed.
the protest. You're covering the Black Lives Matter. You find out this group is going to be doing, sniping out cops and just general causing mayhem. That's obviously warrants bringing that to the authorities' attention, right?
I would absolutely bring that to the authorities' attention since it's a life and death matter. I don't care who you are, you do not deserve to die like that. And
Right.
if there's something you can do to prevent that, then me personally, that's what I would do. And who cares if you're a journalist, a citizen, whatever, I think life and death supersedes all of those things.
Yeah.
For me personally.
No, I think we're all in agreement on this one. If there's life and death, I think that's the real determining factor.
Yeah.
If somebody getting arrested, hey, that's a chance you take, I suppose. But life and death, sniping, ambushing, things like that is when we get
There was a case in New York a couple of years ago where some guy fell on the subway platform, and there was a photographer on the same platform at that exact moment, just by accident. And the subway train came and killed the guy, and the photographer just took pictures and did not get involved at all. And he got a lot of flack for doing that. A lot of people in the New York City photo community felt that he should have put his camera down instead and helped the person because it was a life and death situation. So
Were there other people in the area that could help, or was he the only one?
Yeah, that's a question. I'm not sure. I think there were other people on the platform, but I think he got targeted because he was so obviously did not help and instead actually profited by the situation, in which case you could say if Laura Poitras did actually film that ambush, you could say she profited by that situation. which
Right.
I think that is a very, very slippery slope for any journalist to be on.
And the same thing
Yeah.
with the same thing with the platform jumping in to save the guy also puts you at risk.
Right. Like, I'm not sure. I wouldn't jump on any subway platform no matter what, but maybe, people are saying they could have tried to flag down the train operator. I mean, I'm not saying one way or the other, but I'm just saying there was this case and he got a lot of flack for doing so.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm in profit or non-profit, I don't think comes into play for me personally. Like, whether or not you made money off those pictures or not, I don't care. I don't even care that he didn't go in to save the day if there were other people around. I mean, that kind of is the criticism that lots of people laud against photojournalists, because we're just doing, they're just doing their job. You're photographing, your job is to photograph something, whether it be good or bad. Now, obviously, if I'm the only person there and somebody is about to die, I'll try and do what I can, or I'll call somebody or something, but if there are other people around, you go save them. You want to jump in there, you go jump in there. I don't know. I mean, it's a tricky issue, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like, if nobody documents it, if we're talking, obviously somebody falls in a subway, it's not necessarily like historical. It's just sort of, but it's somebody's got to document the stuff, right?
No,
Welcome, Zach.
I agree.
Hello.
Zach is joining us on the road. He has been covering the election stuff here in the last final few weeks. And Zach, we just finished talking, or we just kind of in the middle of talking about our first topic, which was working both sides. We talked about Laura Poitras, and her sort of, work covering the Iraq conflict from the enemy side and being, seen as potentially knowing about ambush. Any thoughts on your end?
About working both sides of an action, or?
Yeah, I mean, basically, let's say something that somebody's going to do, like you're covering the protesters or you're covering, the enemy, and they're going to be attacking the other people. Where do you step in? Do you step in?
I mean, I find that most times it's extraordinarily unsafe to try to step in unless it's literally an individual one-on-one scenario. If it's some sort of danger, I mean, there's a handful. I try to never ever report anything to the police, because then you become a target if they if anyone finds out. But I think it's always one of those case by case basis things, depending on what you can do in a scenario. So
yeah,
just kind of jumping into that conversation, if that actually makes sense.
Yeah, it sort of makes sense. Zach, can you get a little bit closer to your microphone? You're a little bit quiet, a little bit on the low end. Or if you have headphones, you can try and use the headphones mic. But we'll let you get that set up. Any more thoughts from you, Ron?
No, I think I think we covered it. I think we all agree. If life and death situation, that's what would warrant the crossing the line. Apart from that, you're a journalist. You cover the.
Knew about the ambush?
It doesn't sound like she really knew. I don't know. She's a decent person. She's done a lot of great work. I find it hard to believe that she would do something despicable like that.
Yeah.
If she had any way of doing letting the troops know they're about to be, I think she would have. I'm just from the way I feel about the work she's done and subsequently what I've learned about her, I don't think she's a guilty person. But we'll see what the courts say.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. Zach, are you good? I don't know what's going on with Zach.
A little frozen there.
A little frozen. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Zach, if you can hear us, chime in when you want to. So critiquing others. So I was listening to the latest, one of the episodes of Petapixel. Shout out to our former panelist, Mike Sharkey James. Anyways, he answered a question I thought was interesting because it's about critique. So somebody had talked about how they were giving critique to a friend of theirs, and they had said that, oh yeah, your work is great, but their work wasn't great. They were just being nice, I guess, to not crush their little soul. but you know, we all have different philosophies, and you know, we all have different ways that we like to, I guess, critique other people's work. You know, what have been your techniques to critique others or provide people, you know, advice on how to grow and develop as a visual journalist? Stephanie, why don't you go ahead first?
Well, actually, I feel like I do a decent amount of critique of people, and I like doing it. I think it can be really constructive. And the idea is not to rip anybody down, but try to give them an idea or a bridge or a pathway and to take it to the next level. And it just depends on where the person is at the time. Maybe they need help with technical issues. Maybe they need help on a story, sequencing or editing. Maybe they just need ideas on conceptually how to go about doing a photo shoot. So it really depends, as Zach says, on a case-to-case basis. But I think if you're crushing someone, then you're doing something wrong. I mean, I think critique can be very uplifting, and you know, you could be hugging each other at the end, kind of thing.
What if they really suck, though? Don't you want to crush them?
No, because one time I got a critique when I was in school that was really crushing, and it really, really crushed me and set me back for like weeks. I was so upset, and I vowed I would never do that to another photographer ever, you know. So
Right.
I just try to, you know, not mince words. Like if I have the other day, I helped some young guy edit his portfolio, and I was pretty straight up forward to him. I was like, you have to lose this picture, it's not strong. Lose that picture, it's not strong. Lose that picture, it's not strong. Because, and always saying, you know, it's better to have fewer stronger pictures than a whole bunch of pictures with mediocre ones mixed in. And the other thing I do want to say is, you know, when I started working at Reuters, I got a lot of input from my boss, Idris Latif. And sometimes he was pretty harsh with me. And actually, it was super helpful. He wasn't harsh as in like, you're horrible. He was like, this is to help you become a better journalist. And, you know, but everything that he said to me, you know, you have to be open to it as a critiquee, you know, not to take it personally, and just know that you're taking it in because you want your work to be better. You want to be, so
Absolutely.
that's how I feel about it.
Okay. I just want to say that Zach is on the move right now. So Zach, if you hydroplane and flip over a couple times, I will put that video on YouTube.
And we'll finally have some traffic.
That's right. All right.
I'm not that committed, though.
Ron, how about you, buddy?
Yeah, in regards to critiquing work, I do that, of course, myself with my students there. And
Yeah.
I'm really soft in my critiques. I'm not a hard guy at all. And I joke with them. I'll say things like crap, crap, crap. Oh, that one's good. Okay, this one's pretty good. I do like that, but I would never crush. I would never do something to make them feel like they weren't doing a good job. For me, honestly, if you look in any magazine, you'll see, let's say Time Magazine, for example, some high profile, right? You'll see some photographs that are just pretty much okay, you know? So I point that out to the students. I tell them, hey, look, guys, you're at least this good, and look, it's in Time Magazine.
You're mediocre enough for Time Magazine.
Exactly.
You know, Ron, I'm surprised you didn't say it, but I'll bring it up. And it kind of goes to my philosophy on critiquing, which is kind of the opposite of both you two, in that I believe in you have to break them down and build them back up again.
No,
you know what I'm talking about.
Marine
You
Corps.
don't believe that.
I'm a very harsh critic when it comes to looking at people's work. Not unfair, I think, but I don't mince words, and I don't coddle them at all, especially when I'm working with people who are professionals. Like if I'm critiquing somebody who's an amateur who doesn't do it professionally or is just doing it for the side, I'll give them soft critiques. I'll be like, hey, you can crop this, zoom in on this. But if I'm critiquing someone who does this for a living or is expected to be able to produce high quality work, I will be completely unforgiving, and I will be open and honest, because in my personal opinion, and the way that, and the critique that has most affected me and helped me grow as a photojournalist, is the critiques that were brutal, because it takes you down a notch. You know, I hate dealing with these people who are so high in themselves. They think they're so good that they can do no wrong. And, you know, because they've never been seriously critiqued. So I will, you know, definitely like say, this is crap, that's crap, you know, but I'll also give them advice as well. So I'll be like, crop that, zoom in, this is your focus. Why is this shot blurry? You know, I don't let them get with anything, because I don't feel that, for me personally, I don't think that is helpful for the people I've worked with. But then again, I come from more of a military background, so there's a little bit more thicker skin there. But I'm never not encouraging, though. Somebody can show me some stuff that I'm not very proud of, but I'll always give them ways and show them, talk about ways in which they could have better improved that shot. But I'll almost never give a compliment unless it's truly warranted.
Right.
Zach,
No,
what
I
about you? How about?
Jesus, man. Make sure I never ask you for advice.
I'll give you honest, fair advice, man. I'll be straight up honest with you.
So Dave, when you got advice from people, was that from someone you knew and respected, like that you had a relationship with, or was it from someone who you just, like, you know, a random portfolio review?
For the most part, it was people who I respected.
See, there you go. I mean, like, you know, like CS Muncie and I, like, shoot photos back and forth to each other. And, you know, like, we don't be like, man, you suck, you need to quit this business. But, like, you know, a regular response will be, meh, you know, which honestly to me is a little more cruel, almost more cruel than anything else. But for me, I don't know. I went to, you know, art school in college. So, like, it was the way that we were trained in how to do constructive critiquing. So it's something that I've kind of helped bring up a couple photographers, I think, in the New York area. And you know, especially just during like the protest scenes and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way right now. So it's just, you know, you give advice, you talk to them about what photographers they like, and then kind of, to me, that's kind of one of the ways I enter. It's like, well, you know, what would Sebastião Salgado do in this scenario? You know, and kind of build it that way, and then see where they want to go with their photography. Whether they want to have the kind of more straightforward photojournalism look, or whether they're going to be more of a, you know, art photojournalist or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, it depends. I mean, if I'm going to be, if I think I with somebody, I'll literally say, okay, so I'm going to be a really big jerk right now. And they go, okay. But I'll only do that with somebody who I've known for a while and that respects me, and specifically ask for my advice. So, I mean, like, that's kind of the only way that I'd be, you know, extremely harsh. Especially if it's something, not even necessarily technically, but I'll definitely be harsh if it's something like ethically as a photojournalist. If I see them doing something that needs to be stopped and be put to a stop immediately.
Like really posing your subjects.
Yes. Yeah. You know, I mean, obviously there are scenarios for posing subjects, and there's, but if you're outside of, giving somebody a yell, or, I mean, like, there's scenarios. If that's what the assignment that you're doing is, then okay. But yeah, no, I mean, if it's some random protest or something like that, and you're doing spot news coverage, and you see the person posing their subjects, or, telling them to completely stop, move over to the light a little bit, then yeah, no. That gets
like, hey,
down.
Protest harder. Here, throw this Molotov.
No.
Let me light that for you.
Yeah. Yeah, no. of course, then a lot of photographer friends that I know are kind of sometimes walk in both worlds. So
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure wouldn't see that happen. So
Right. When I was talking about when I would critique others, I mostly destroy or crush the amateurs, vice the professionals. So, I mean, obviously, if I'm going to look at your guys' work or, critique your work, I wouldn't expect the kind of amateur mistakes that I would see some others. So I would probably just, talk more about in broader strokes about the impacts of certain imagery or, overall portfolio composition. I'd be like, hey, maybe this, take this out to make your portfolio stronger. Because as I like to say, if it doesn't add, it subtracts.
Ooh, fancy. I like that.
Thank you.
I have to borrow that. But it's true. It's better to have fewer photos and a whole bunch of stuff. Let's face it.
Right.
You have to choose
same thing with cropping
wisely.
and stuff too.
Yeah, I'm pro cropping.
But I mean, it takes all kinds, and whatever is going to be beneficial to the person being critiqued. I mean, if I see somebody and they're going to be on the verge of tears because they can't handle, a tough critique, I may tone it down a little bit, or I always try and find the positives.
No, you won't.
I
You're gonna make them cry.
Well, I collect their tears, and then I would tell them, okay, let's dial it back. You're a good person.
You would bathe
in
their
maybe
tears
photojournalism
first.
isn't for you.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, I think it just depends on where the person you're critiquing is in their journey in photography, and then adjust accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take a beginner who's just started and break him down. But, if somebody's got some skills and they've proven their worth and then they make stupid mistakes, I'll be like, this is below you. This is garbage.
All right, what would
Get
be
out of my office.
What would be a stupid mistake that you've seen, for example?
I mean, just
what are you talking about?
I've seen people who are professionals and I see the crops on their photographs or their video. I'm like, why would you crop it like that? You got the person like in the center and it's like it doesn't add anything. And what's up with all this headspace? What? I don't even know why. What were you thinking in this shot? This doesn't make any sense. You crop down here, get rid of this, cut that white space out. And it's not done for like stylistic reasons. Like there are people who, obviously break the rules because they know the rules. But these are people just like, you've been doing this for years. You should know better than this.
And are you often in the position to critique other professionals?
Yes.
Yeah. And what in what capacity?
The boss.
You're the boss of like the newsroom, or
I have videographers and photographers that work for me. Yes.
Gotcha.
So I look at their work on a daily basis and I will give them critique. Like for instance,
So critique is a big thing for you. You do it all the time.
Sure. I mean, but it's all in like these are professionals, so I'm not necessarily going to break them down. I won't do that, and they produce good work. For the most part, it's just every once in a while, I'll come in there and be like, they have a direction or a vision that doesn't agree with what I think is the direction or vision, we should go in, and then I'll just adjust that slightly, or I'll give them critique or advice. But I mean, 99% of the time, 95% of the time, the work is as expected, a level of quality. Sometimes it exceeds my expectations, and it's really just more like course correction at that point. But, when I was younger and had people who were under me who were younger, we have people of different levels of skill. So people who are less skilled, I'm going to be harder on, but I'll also guide them through it, so I'll tell them that this photograph is poorly composed, the cropping's bad, the exposure, whatever, you missed the focus, you missed the subject matter, the subject matter was this, not this. But then I'll tell them how to improve it. And then I'll expect them to improve. If they don't improve, then we have issues. But they usually improve.
Otherwise, off with their head.
Off with their head. But I'm a you know, I'm firm. I'm
He has a
firm,
benevolent God.
but what's the other one? I'm
Firm but fair.
fair. Firm but fair. Yes, I like to think of it that way. But Ron, has your soft technique? You said you're soft on the people you critique. I mean, have they improved? How have they improved? If your critiques aren't, you know, how are you critiquing them? Are they showing improvement? They're your students,
Sure.
right?
Right. No, they get better or they get out. They usually the ones that don't hack it usually go on to do something else.
But how do they know they don't hack it if you're not
Well,
telling them?
I mean, I have to be mean about it to give honest critique. You know, I mean, you see, like I say, oh,
You don't insult them personally and their appearance. That's how do you critique someone without insulting their appearance? No, I'm just kidding.
I know, hard to believe. No, I tell them, okay, this is no good. This is no good. Okay, this one shows promise. Okay, what I like about this one is, and it's more like a building up type thing rather than a tearing down the bad stuff. I'd rather pick out a good one they've shot and say, what's good about this that I like. And
What if they show you nothing good?
Well,
What if the entire shot sucks?
I tell them it's crap. But I do it in a nice way.
You know what I do? I try, if all of their pictures are terrible, I try to find at least one photo that shows something, and then I'll say that this is the photo that they should be looking at, and this is why, and this is the photo that will lead them to the next place. So that's what I say.
You know what you should do if you encounter somebody like that? Just be like, let me show you some photos that do work, and then pull out your portfolio. Look at my photos.
But, you know, I often find that younger photographers are just so enamored with the whole new thing about photography. I'm sure you've experienced this, that they think everything they do is just amazing, and they can't even fathom that their photos aren't good. Like, they just don't even get it. They can't even see it.
Look at this squirrel I photographed. It is, oh my God.
It's just like how, you know, every single baby is gorgeous and amazing, and every mother thinks that their child is the most gorgeous thing ever. That's, you know, that to me, that's kind of what it is. It's like, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what I usually do, and this is even something I did to the chagrin of many people when I worked at B&H, was somebody came in with like just starting out in photography, and they wanted to buy a whole bunch of gear or whatever. I'd be like, here's your nifty 50. You're going to have a 51.8, and you're going to buy your camera, whatever camera you want to buy. You're going to go take 1,000 photos. You're going to come back here with the top 10 photos that you think are good. And then we'll talk, and then maybe you'll get another lens. And, you know, to me, that's kind of one of the ways that if I see somebody going in kind of a weird direction, you know, I remember when I first started doing more professional work and not just kind of work for myself. You know, I would get some new piece of gear or something like that and have, you know, you get that Tokina 11-16 2.8. Suddenly everything's the wide shot and it's wide-itis, and you see that in a lot of people's, you know, photography. So you just, you know, to me, what I'll do is be like, no, I need you to go take 100 good shots or 100 shots with this basic lens, some prime, and kind of like get your framing down, get what you want to do with photography down, and then you go on to anything else. You know, I mean, that's kind of one way that I've tried with people. You know, but
I tell them to hit the road, find a new career. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, I think we've beaten that horse. Let's go ahead and move on to our next subject this week. Talking about gear. I think this is an interesting piece of gear and also an interesting story just in general. So this creator out of Israel made a cell phone case, looks like for the iPhone system, that is actually has a built-in selfie stick. So it's pretty neat. It's kind of a segmented stick. It folds out section by section. It creates a selfie stick. So it's a interesting invention and something that probably if we're available for the phone I have, I might consider getting it. Just because, you know, you got the built-in selfie stick, so you always do selfies. But what's interesting here is not so much the invention, although it is interesting, is that this invention was put on Kickstarter, and within a week, a Chinese company had stolen it and created a mock-up fake version of it, and was already selling it for, I think, half of the lowest price for the Kickstarter item. So you see him online for about $20, and this guy was selling them for about $40. So what do we think about this this invention, and also what do we think about Chinese knockoffs in general? Ron, you've had experience with Chinese knockoffs. What do you think about this case?
Well, I'm in the minority, it seems, these days, and I still love selfie sticks. I think they're a great invention. If I can get an extra few feet of distance on my arm, heck, it makes my life a little bit easier taking those wonderful selfies I like to post on my I don't have Facebook, Instagram. Check out my Instagram, Ron Photo Hawaii. See my selfies. Anyway,
Ron, if you want people to see your stuff, you probably shouldn't make your account private.
Ah, crap! I made a mistake. So the selfie sticks, I do enjoy selfie sticks. However, this particular product, I don't see the point in having this particular product because I already have a selfie stick. So I don't know why I need a case with a built-in selfie stick. I guess it's convenient. Yeah, it's convenient. It's kind of nice. It's kind of a groovy little invention. It's not something I would buy. However, if I was in the market for one, and this guy's selling it for $40, meanwhile, a Chinese company comes in for $20, since it's a brand new invention, I would still pay the $40 because I feel like this guy's getting a raw deal. I'd want to do what I could to help you. However, when it comes to my knockoff GoPros that I like to buy, I have a different opinion, and that is that I don't need to spend $400. We're talking about a big difference of scale here. My GoPro knockoffs that I buy for $10, $15, they're good enough, and I don't see a problem buying those. Selfie stick, especially one that's just invented, I would give the money to the original inventor. My official position.
All right. So if it's an established item from a big company, you're all about buying the knockoff version of it.
Yes, sir. You have my correct position on that.
All right. All right. Stephanie, your thoughts?
Well, I would never be in the market for a selfie stick. I'm anti-selfie stick. I mean, probably in Hawaii, you probably see a lot of people taking selfies, but in New York, it's rampant. It's so many selfie sticks, I can't take it anymore. So, I mean, too bad for this guy that he invented something, got it knocked off. There's nothing you can do to prevent that, unless you, it is unfortunate, and unless you can either trademark the product, there's nothing you can do about it, especially across borders. So,
well, even if you trademark it, what's to stop somebody from ripping off the design? I mean, China's not going to enforce somebody else's trademark or patent in America or in Israel.
Yeah, I mean, if it's across borders, I mean, if it's in the same country, you trademark it, and it's in America, then there's something you can do about it. It's sort of like if somebody steals your photo and publishes it, as long as that happens in America, you can seek compensation. But if it crosses borders, chances are will never have any compensation whatsoever. There's not good legislation across borders in terms of stealing people's ideas. It just doesn't exist. So,
well, I think you have a little bit more leeway, at least in like the European countries. Anything in the Eurozone area, you probably have a better chance. But yeah, I don't know the odds or how those court systems handle that. But you wouldn't buy the selfie stick case?
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm sure lots of people would, but I wouldn't. Did you guys see that video recently where some guy was running around New York City cutting all the selfie sticks with a big
shears or whatever
pipe cutter? Did you see that? That was really popular.
Yeah, I saw that fake video. Yep.
I hope to God it was fake, because otherwise
it was fake.
A ton of people.
Yeah.
It had to be fake. Yeah.
They do these things all the time. All these prank videos are fake, or at least they're all they're all taken with a giant grain of salt. Like that Trump video, the video where the black guys were attacking the car, complete another lie, and the guy's like, "Look at how this black guy is attacked the car." I'm like, "Come on."
It's a good thing you blew the
salads. Whatever. What a horrible person.
Yeah.
So what about buying knockoff equipment. I mean, obviously there's cameras and lenses and tons of camera equipment. I mean, I bought my fair share of knockoff equipment from China. What do you ever get involved in that? Or do you buy all pure, straight American made or Japanese made, I guess?
I feel that generally I tend towards non-knockoffs when it comes to my equipment because I feel that it have a better history. Like I think a lot of gray market items, like you don't never know how long it's been sitting on the tarmac, so to speak. You know, so I feel that you have better chances of your equipment being better if you stick with the brand names. Me personally. So, although I'm Nikon and I've been having big problems with Nikon lately, so I don't know if that's exactly true. So,
you've been having problems, or that
with Nikon, yeah.
You don't know if it's true that authentic stuff is necessarily better than the knockoffs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
okay.
I know. Yeah.
I've purchased some Asian gear, some Chinese gear. Not super expensive stuff. Mostly like flashes and like batteries and just kind of accessories, incidental stuff.
Oh yeah, me too. Like in battery chargers and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. Me too. But batteries, no. I wouldn't buy an off-market battery for my camera because I would never trust it. And I would never buy an off-market CF or SD card ever. I would never, ever do that because I would never trust it, you know. Right. So certain things never, ever, ever go with off-market because it's too risky.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not afraid of batteries. I mean, I bought on-market Note 7, Galaxy Note 7, and those things blow up in your face. So I'm not.
Wow.
I'm not holding a phone I'm not holding a camera like up to my face all the time, just when I'm taking pictures. So if it explodes, I'll be okay. I hope. Maybe I'm.
Did your Note 7 explode? Did it explode?
No. But I mean, I had to exchange it to get. I got S7 Edge. Had to step down. This obsolete piece of junk phone. Doesn't have iris scanner. No S Pen. First world problems. But it's actually a decent phone. But what's funny is I've been buying a lot of stuff that is not knockoffs, but I've been buying a lot of gray market stuff. So, lenses and camera gear that is exactly the same as sold in America, but, you can buy it the European or the Asian version of it. In fact, the phone I bought is the, I think, Asian version of the S7 Edge. So it doesn't have a U.S. warranty, but I don't really care because I've never really used I never used a warranty on my phone. But it was about almost $300 cheaper than a new S7 Edge in America. And it's exactly the same phone. And actually, it's better because it has dual SIM cards. So if I ever travel overseas, I can put 2 SIM cards in there. So, yeah.
Very nice.
Hot diggity.
One of the best things about going to the Philippines as often as I do is you get a lot of the cheap Chinese junk over there in the regular stores. They have a shout out to my good friend CDR King. Come to CDR King for all your cheap Chinese junk in the Philippines. I love that place. I bought knockoff
CDR thing. If CDR King is watching right now, we are open to sponsorship. So,
sounds good to me.
If you want to give us free knockoff gear, we'll be glad to sponsor your shop.
As far as like what Stephanie was saying, as far as the equipment goes, cameras and lenses, no. Gray market's another story. But for cameras and lenses, all my stuff is a Canon. I don't even have Tokina, Tamron, or Sigma. Everything I have is Canon.
Now, I will say the third-party lens manufacturers can actually create some pretty darn good lenses. So I wouldn't necessarily write them off.
I'm not writing them off. I'm just saying in my particular case, I have not purchased them at this point. Currently. I have in the past, but currently my whole lineup is Canon right now. But I don't have a problem with that. But as far as the knockoff accessories, once again, I'm with you. I do the batteries, battery chargers, what are those bendy tripods called? Gorilla Pod. Knockoff Gorilla Pods, I got no problem with those. They work just as good. Card readers, things like that. I buy the cheap Chinese stuff.
All right. Good, good. Zach, your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, same here. I mean, there's, you know, you just gotta do a little bit more research. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I for like chargers and batteries, I definitely, you know, look into it. And you got to read the Amazon reviews a little bit more than you do with, I think I never buy anything off of like eBay where it's just straight from the Chinese manufacturers. Unless I'm told specifically that this, you know, Chinese brand is fantastic. But I mean, like the best chargers and cables and everything that I've ever owned are Anchor, and they're like 20% the price of you know, buying the Samsung charger or whatever. And in my experience, they're 100 times better. But you know, they're a cheap knockoff brand that has now become almost as big as some of the you know, mainstream brands. But my understanding, by the way, is when it comes to copyright stuff, is that if you vote for Donald Trump, all this Chinese trade barrier nonsense is going on. I'm just coming from a Pence rally, like I'm driving in North Carolina right now. That's what I've been told, just so you guys know, that he'll stop it.
Maybe I will vote for Trump now.
Yeah.
On the other hand, that sucks because that'll stop all of our cheap Chinese batteries. I'll have to pay $65 for a freaking Nikon battery and not be able to buy my wasabis.
Wasabi power, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
chili power.
Well, no, there's actually a pretty decent battery brand. All my GoPro batteries are wasabis. And in fact, as far as I can tell, they work better than the GoPro terrible, nightmarishly bad, almost should be an insult to the brand batteries that they have.
No, I have two. I have the wasabis. I also have another brand called Chili Power. I have both.
Oh, it actually is. I thought it was a joke. But
no, there really is a battery called Chili Power, right? I have both
Fantastic.
wasabis and Chili Powers.
Yeah, I mean, since I didn't answer, and for me, absolutely, completely no to the selfie stick thing because, yeah, no, they're ruining. I don't mind that I've been able to work with people holding up their cell phones at events, but now that people are going way above me now with selfie sticks to like get that photo or that video of Donald Trump or Clinton or whoever, it's just like I can't even work anymore. I have to like have a monopod at full length and a shutter to be able to shoot over everyone now. So
or how about like when people take the iPad and hold it up and start photographing, and they're not even a journalist. They're just there's like this. I'm like, really, with the iPad? Really?
The photos I can live with, like if it's the thing that they own and that's what they brought with them, okay, whatever. But taking video now, like full extended all the way up, which means, I mean, not even just the photographers and the videographers that you're blocking, whatever, okay? But you're blocking the people who are supposed to be there with the event. Blocking.
Yeah, they should really respect the people who are there.
Yeah, I mean,
to be the
that's
media.
always the big thing. I'm not going to ever tell somebody that they can't, you know, take a photo with whatever device that they have. I think it's a little ridiculous taking a photo with an iPad.
I've done that at events. You know? I get obnoxious about it. I tell people, like, listen, let the media get the picture, you know?
Yeah.
Well, here's what I hope to see in the future.
So, you know.
What I hope to see in the future is the best of both worlds. Selfie sticks for iPads. So you just have this thing.
Or just a
giant,
wall
huge
of
block.
iPads. Yeah.
That's just way above a crowd. So you can't even see like the face of what you can't even see anything. It's just a complete wall of screens.
Sounds great. And then we can all critique their work afterwards.
Oh my God, I would destroy them.
I should hope so.
I'll just start bringing little pebbles that I throw and break the iPad. Be like, where's all those pebbles coming from? I don't know.
Spitballs.
Yeah, exactly. Little dart.
Or get some clippers and clip their sticks.
Oh my God.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our picks of the week. Panelists, I'm sure you all remember what picks of the week are. I'm sure you have stuff ready to go to tell us about that we should check out. Ron?
Yeah, we'll start with my...
Hamilton?
Don't mind if I do. As a matter of fact, thinking about this episode in general, the way we came up with the main story was from about Laura Poitras and her ambush. Was from a website called cryptome.org, and it's a website I used to read daily. Now I don't read it so much, but it still does have good stuff. With WikiLeaks, we have a lot more maybe up-to-the-date stuff, more volume of stuff. But
Yeah.
Cryptome is still a great source for breaking news or news that's going on that you may not have heard of. So give it a shot. CRYPTOME.org. Cryptome.org. And particularly, what attracted me in the beginning years ago was their eyeballing series, pictures of things you're not supposed to see. And it would be eyeballing the White House, eyeballing what have you, pictures you're not supposed to see.
All right. Stephanie?
In terms of picks of the week, I think it's been a slow couple of weeks, really.
We'll get back to you.
No, but I do have one story I was thinking of. Is there was a story done by a Reuters stringer in Venezuela, and Venezuela is having this huge crisis in their country right now, where there's no food and people are rioting at the supermarkets. And one person who's living in Venezuela, he did a story about the dogs in Venezuela and how did a portrait shoot of the sad and starving dogs in Venezuela. And I thought it was a really good idea, and it really encapsulated like how horrible it is down there, without getting too gratuitous about like the people. And I really like that story a lot. I thought that was one of the stories recently I really enjoyed. So
Okay, great. Zach, you got anything from us for us from the road?
Unfortunately, I'm a complete failure as a co-host, and I have been on the road, not really been able to search the internet all that much the past 4 days.
Well, you're doing something pretty interesting. Why don't you talk about your project that you're doing, your personal project?
Yeah. Well, first, it's kind of a follow up to the kind of my pick of the week, which is my documentary is finally released on video demand, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy. But Donald Trump is running around the country claiming that this election is rigged. And so what I decided to do is I'm traveling the East Coast and talking to Trump supporters and talking to them about, first off, is the election rigged? And secondarily, if your candidate on both sides, I'm talking to both sides, if your candidate loses, what are you going to do November 9th? So it's basically just talking to people right at the campaign stops, outside, getting pure things. And the one big thing that I'm doing is as well on the mudflats.net site that I edit, is that I'm doing interviews with Donald Trump supporters for the most part, and doing straight interviews, no edits, nothing, as far as I can, just from beginning to end, and then uploading that straight, because their claim is that the media is biased and against them. So yeah. I'm finding that people are opening up once I start basically saying that my edit, no edits from beginning to end, and then I just talk to them for 5-6 minutes, and uploading those videos.
Okay. Cool. Since you also do work for comicbook.com, yeah. And you could probably tie this along with something for comicbook.com, try and find out which comic book characters are supporting which candidates. I'll leave that there. You can pick it up on your way out. Okay. My pick this week is going to be a DJI Phantom drone, or I'm sorry, not a Phantom, but it's just a drone by DJI that has 30x zoom. So you thought it was freaky to see a drone floating above you and essentially documenting what you're doing. Now it can zoom in on you. But don't worry, folks. This little innovation is just for industrial purposes. I'm sure there's no way it's going to get out of industrial purposes only. You'll
Yep.
find it in stores probably by the end of the week. Probably a Chinese knockoff will have it. But yeah. So, anyways, that's a neat little story about from Petapixel. You can see there's a neat little innovation in drone technology, and I'm anxiously awaiting the arrival of my DJI Mavic. I can't wait to get that in my grubby little paws. But that's our show for this week. Panelists, please tell our guests how they can get to know more about your stuff. Reach you.
Who do you want to go first?
Stephanie,
You
what-
can reach me at stephaniekeith.com is my regular website, or I'm on Instagram at Steffi Keith. That's SteffiKeith. That's how you get in touch with me or see more of my stuff.
Right. And I also have Instagram. My Instagram name is aptly named Ron Photo Hawaii because I'm in Hawaii. And I take photos. My name is Ron.
And you're screwed if you ever leave Hawaii with that Instagram.
That's
Although I don't
true.
think you ever will, but
Yeah.
just saying.
Chances are I'm stuck here.
It'd be weird if you're like in the Ozarks and you're like, I'm Ron Photo Hawaii. Don't ask me why.
I'll just wear a Aloha shirt everywhere I go. It'll be all right.
There you go. You can find more about me or Zach at aroundthelens.com, but you can find out more about us personally. You can find me at djmphoto.com, djmphoto for all your social media needs. And Zach, where can people find you?
ZDRoberts.com and ZD Roberts basically on Instagram, Twitter, and kind of anything else.
And you can find them floating around the mud flats and comicbook.com and
Mudflats.com.
everywhere and every place you can think of. So that's been our show for this week. I want to thank our panelists, Ron Hamilton, Stephanie Keith. Thank you both so much for coming back and spending some more time with us on this show. For Zach Roberts, I am David J. Murphy. This has been Around the Lens, episode 47, and we are out.